All right, welcome everybody to the SNIA Experts on Data podcast. This is amazing because we've got another fantastic webinar that's coming up. So this is a webinar preview, and I'm super excited because I'm joined by two of my favorite humans who are going to talk today about Agentic AI and a really, really cool webinar which is coming up. So first of all, I'll start with introductions. So if you don't mind, give a quick intro, where you're at, what you do, and then we'll jump into talking about the webinar. We'll start with you, Erin.
Hi, yes, I'm Erin Farr, and I work for IBM in the Storage CTO office. And that's a strategy role where we look at industry trends, disruptive technologies like Agentic AI, and customer pain points to influence the roadmap of our solutions.
Excellent. And Michael?
Great. Hi, this is Michael Hoard, and I'm the chair for the Cloud Storage Technologies community. That's the CST within SNIA. And we have been very active working on cloud object storage interoperability. So we have PlugFest and also test tools that we're developing as part of the activity. Thank you.
I'll say I forget to introduce myself sometimes. My name is Eric Wright. I'm the lucky host of the SNIA Experts on Data podcast, and also the co-founder of GTM Delta, and a longtime fan, as much as one can be, a longtime fan of Agentic AI, because it seems like it's so new, and yet it's been on the tips of tongues of CIOs and pundits everywhere for the last little while. But what I'd love to sort of start by framing, Erin, what is your goal here? I know we've got this, the webinar is really the core of what we're going to talk about, but what's exciting you about Agentic AI, and what's your goal with the webinar that's coming up?
Sure. So my goal is to give enterprise like storage personas the information they need if they're evaluating agentic AI solutions, right? Because there's a lot of agentic information out there, and it predominantly targets developers, people who are building agentic AI solutions, but not necessarily those who are consuming them and what to look for.
Well, this is always the interesting thing too, and we mentioned, we've chatted before talking about the idea of like, who's the target for this? And it's interesting because when we say AI, it's kind of an everyone's game. Then we say agentic AI, and it tends to lean towards sort of builders and developers. But what's funny to me, funny, peculiar, not funny, ha, is that we really forget about compute, storage, networking, all of the real sort of pain points that you're about to discover if you think that just agentic AI is the be all end all, and it's fantastic and what it can do. Let me start with that. But there's big implications that are further down the stack and even higher up in the stack as far as what are the goals and business outcomes, what are the expected sort of ramp times when people are taking on an agentic AI project, what is the reality of the maturity of agentic AI. So there's so much to cover, which is why this is a preview, and people will make sure that there's going to be a link below. If you haven't already signed up for the webinar, please do, and we'll share exactly sort of details of that at the end. But from your side, Michael, on the SNIA world, how does Agentic AI play into the work that you've been doing?
Well, great. So we have had a number of webinars. This is part of a series, and we've had webinars on AI ops, and went into a lot of detail about how folks prepare and then deploy into IT and different systems for enterprise. We've also had Ceph, the Linux of storage, and that was very fascinating. A lot of that is being driven by the scale need for AI, and that was addressed in that talk. We've also done Kubernetes, a series on that for the fast moving storage and scale needs that they have, and especially for managing all of that data. So in terms of the agentic AI, this is a very, very new area, and we're really excited to have Erin, kick this off. This will also be a series, So we're looking forward to more of these. After the end of June, we'll have our next
So that's,
webinar.
I think, a perfect lead in here, Erin. What is Agentic AI, and why is this an amazing time to come in and learn about what's coming as a result of this new sort of wave in the AI world?
Right. And so, yeah, and I plan to go into deeper detail about what it is in the session as well. But at a high level, I'll talk about it in the context of generative AI, right? With generative AI, a large language model generates content as the result of a prompt, a question you ask it, right? But with agentic AI, the language model now generates actions to execute on your behalf, or skills, they're sometimes called. But it does these actions using tools or skills it has at its disposal. So agentic comes from the fact that it has agency to act on your behalf and even run autonomously. And I'll cover a little bit the evolution of how we got there and what the differences are between agentic AI and generative AI.
And I'd like to think that this is probably almost a Gutenberg level of innovation in what we've been able to do with AI, particularly around, like you said, this is a focus specifically on generative AI, because it was very, having human in the loop was one thing that's typical in AI consumption today. But then to go one step further and to be able to like give it long running tasks and complex tasks, and then have it actually figure out based on roles and capabilities. And now we see things like the introduction of MCP and more things around how do you present and publish what services you have available. This is all happening so fast, but it really is working towards what I believe is a common shared goal of the AI industry, in that how do we collectively standardize towards something that everyone can use, and ultimately teach machines to speak to machines with a person on the front and on the back. So for you, Erin, and looking at the storage, why is this important to the storage practitioner and to the storage architect?
Well, because it's coming, whether you want it to or not, right? Like, we thought ChatGPT and generative AI were disruptive. I feel as though this is accelerating at an even faster pace than generative was, and basically, you will be faced with it, and so you might as well prepare yourself, and maybe get some initial, considerations to think about, right? Because on the one hand, it shows great promise. It can save a lot of work. On the other hand, it's so trendy right now that there's a possibility that some people will create something agentic that doesn't really need to be agentic, right? To me, there's this whole challenge around finding fit for purpose use cases and finding the right use cases. And I go into that in great detail in this session too, because it even took me a while in my role to find a use case that I thought was not just fit for purpose, but also provided value, tries to meet customers where they are in their journey. Because even though the hype is about running autonomously, the reality is, my belief is that most enterprise use cases will want a human in the loop for many of their actions, at least to start, until they build that trust. And so it's going to be interesting to see how enterprises adapt to this. And my goal is to help people navigate through this disruptive technology before they're faced with it.
Well, I think the core, what I love about the approach that you've got, and I got to preview some of the slides and see what content is coming, so it's really great. But most importantly, as a consumer of this stuff, this is not meant to be a zero to hero. This is what I call it, hype to hello world. This is where like we hear about this, but let's see it in its first form, right? Mm-hmm. And I think this is such an important discussion, because if we aren't doing the right requirements gathering up front and the right architectural decisions up front, we will pay for them 100-fold, if we don't do the right things now. And the patterns of consumption are fundamentally different than all other compute before. especially in storage. It's a Wild West world, but I'm excited by it.
Definitely.
Now, Michael, just as I know, we don't want to give it all away before we get to the webinar, but if you don't mind, from your side of the world, then, representing SNIA and all the work you've seen around building standards, coming together as collective competitors, in effect, right? So, because there's participating vendors in the community, as well as with IETF and IEEE. What is the beauty to you of what we are now doing as a community to get this information to the world and show how we are working? We're basically building in public, and as competitive vendors that are cooperating with building in public, I feel like this is a great sample of what we want to see more of, and what excites you about this webinar in particular, Michael.
Yeah, thank you so much for that question. So we have so many things going on within SNIA. There's multiple communities. CST is only one of those. There's a lot of action behind the scenes that are focused on AI. And probably what excites me most is just the opportunity to work with experts in the field, like Erin. And so there's so many folks that we're engaged with, and we'll bring that information through more webinars. And I did want to say one word about what I'm most excited about. I don't want to say too much about Erin's content, but she also has a demo. So this is going to be very exciting, because this really shows the tangible state of the technology, that it's here now. And so this is something that's real right now. And so just the rest of the webinar, we just want to hold that for when we get to June 26th. 10 a.m. Pacific. So please join us for the webinar. Thank you.
If you only see one webinar this year, you should probably see more webinars, but this is definitely the first one you should see. It absolutely is, real experience being shared. This isn't a fireside chat with a bunch of AI people saying how they think it could go. I love that you've actually really identified proven real market trends, and thank you for that, because again, as somebody who's always looking for data that backs the pundit stories, it's so refreshing to see data-driven webinars with people like yourself, Erin, and Michael, who've actually done the hard yards and are working this stuff in production environments. So super exciting. Excellent. Well, with that, so for folks that did want to connect with you before and even after the event, Erin, what's the best way that they can reach you?
You can connect with me on LinkedIn, for example.
Perfect.
Just search on Erin Farr and you'll find me.
And Michael, of course, I'll say they should come to the next SNIA SDC event, whatever it happens to be, join the community, but there's obviously many other ways to reach you. What's the best way to get a hold of you?
Yeah, so LinkedIn is fine, and but also we have Ask Cloud Plugfest at SNIA.org is probably the best way to get involved with our Plugfest and Test Tools activities, and I'm on that chain, so that'll be great. And you also mentioned SDC, so that's in September. That's the 15th through the I believe the 17th. And so we have 3 days of Plugfest going on there. There's numerous presentations that are going on at the same time. So that's a really fantastic event.
Innovation and community. It just doesn't get better than that. So excellent. Well, thank you both. And so for folks, again, make sure you get signed up. We'll have links below, and make sure you check out SNIA.org. We'll have access to get registered. And if for whatever reason you're seeing this one and it's already passed, don't worry, because all the webinars, including all these great podcasts, are also available on demand. So thank you, Erin and Michael, for your time today. Good luck on delivering a fantastic webinar and demo, and I'm looking forward. And I'll see you all on the live session, and I'll also see you, hopefully, on some upcoming SNIA Experts on Data podcasts.
Thank you.